joining us now, and then we'll get to all your calls. Be very patient. My friend Tucker Carlson, the Daily Caller, of course, blew the lid off of this video from June of 2007 where President Obama was addressing those black ministers. And that might have rattled the president a little bit, too. Who knows? And he joins us now. Hey, Tucker, how are you, sir?
Hey, Laura. See, this is the problem with being surrounded by throne sniffers and sycophants in a pliant press corps is it makes you soft. And I think, you made the great point that after 4 years as president, you ought to have your rap down pretty well. But I think after 4 years of being the president, if you're Obama, you're very unused to being challenged at all or used to having to perform at the highest level because no one around you requires that of you. He looked weak, and weakness is the one thing people won't follow. They'll follow you if they disagree with you, but if they think you're soft, it's over.
Well, Axelrod was actually questioned, Tucker, about why the president didn't go on the attack. Why did they decide not to bring out the 47% comment? And he basically, we can play it. It's Axelrod 6, just so people understand why they didn't really go this way. He gave a little bit of an insight into all this. Let's listen.
There was a hunger for us to attack Romney more personally than the president did last night. But, we're going to continue to prosecute this case because, as you saw last night, there are two distinct views of the future and how we get there and how we rebuild the economy, how we rebuild the middle class.
Yeah. He basically said, I know people wanted that. But he went on to say, but the president wanted to talk directly to the American people. Well, again, presumably he's been speaking to the American people for the last 4 years. And yet
speaking. I mean, there's never been a president who's put more on his own speeches, who's believed more fervently in the transformative power of his own voice. And it didn't work.
Tucker, the tape that came out, and you guys posted posted the entire speech at the Daily Caller. We linked it up. We talked about it. For me, I wrote the Obama Diaries. I spent a lot of time studying him, knowing him. It didn't surprise me because he puts on these accents all the time, right? And it didn't surprise me that the press, as they slavishly cover this man, the man who was going to deliver, the parted oceans and the bluer skies and so forth, that they didn't grab the pen when he said, "I'm going to go off script." I mean, when you go to an event and someone says they're going to go off script, that's the good stuff, right? We knew they weren't going to do that, right? So that didn't surprise me.
I had this argument yesterday with a New York Times reporter who said, well, I mean, maybe people in the room just didn't, notice anything out of the ordinary. And that's exactly what I said as someone who's covered 1,000 events in his life. The second the speaker, especially someone you've been covering for a while, says, I'm so mad I'm going off my prepared remarks. Holy smokes. You find your notebook. I mean, it couldn't be a louder cue to pay attention. And then he goes on to say after that, guess what, black audience? You're right. All your fears are true. America really doesn't like you. What? That's not news? I mean, it's ugh.
Well, I think the great contrast, right? Last night, Obama was trying to say, well, look, all people, I'm focusing on all Americans, and we could be in this together. Versus the Obama playing to that crowd in that tape, where it was much more of the kind of liberation theology mindset of the system's rigged against you, system doesn't work for you, feeding real resentment, which I think it doesn't just anger me, it makes me really sad because people can't change the color of their skin. And if they believe the system's rigged against them, then it feeds more resentment and kills initiative. It's an initiative crusher. And that's what that speech to me really said about this man.
Well, it's taking advantage of people. It's taking advantage of people who are in a weak position, who are already, in some cases, hobbled by their own fears that the rest of the country rejects and loathes them, and confirming those fears on the basis of no evidence at all. In fact, in the face of countervailing evidence, but whipping up their fears so that they'll support you. I mean, that's the classic definition of demagoguery. And frankly, and he's not the only one to do that in world history, and I'm not saying he is, but it's still disgusting. And I think it crosses the line from creepy to immoral. And just the falseness of the whole thing. I mean, I got called a racist by about 100 different reporters and commentators.
Yawn.
But is it yawn? Exactly. It's racist to post a speech by the President of the United States. right? I mean, look, I came away with watching that is not that, Obama's a secret Black Panther. I don't think he is. I think he's a full-on phony who's willing to go all the way in his panders to whatever audience is sitting in front of him. He's a hollow person. That's what I took away from it.
You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show, 800-876-4123. Tucker Carlson with us from the Daily Caller. And Tucker, the fact that the president did not hit the attack points, whether they be offshore accounts or what Bain did, the vulture capitalism deal, or the, of course, 47% comment, is that because really the only thing he has going for him is that likability shield, and he didn't want to crack that shield with those types of attacks?
I think that's exactly right, and I think he's sitting on a lead, right? They understand, at least going into the last night's debate, they were leading, and they were, I think, and that they certainly think they are. So I think the calculation was, why mess it up? Just stay exactly where we are. All things being equal, we win. And the truth is, the race is more dynamic than that because America is more dynamic than that. We're at a really volatile place in American history. I mean, the electorate has shown the capacity in the last 10 years to swing from side to side pretty quickly and pretty dramatically. Look at election results over the past few congressional cycles, and it tells you that you guys should take nothing for granted. I mean, this could wind up being a landslide for Romney. It could wind up being a landslide for Obama. Literally a month out, anything could happen. And so you're a fool, either candidate, to just assume that, the current trends will continue. They might not continue at all.
Tucker, the thing that was stunning, though, to me is just basic body language. If you know nothing about presidential debates, is that the body language gives away so much. And I mean, you don't even have to prepare a lot to be told that and to take that in, that you want to look happy, you want to smile, you want to be gracious, you want to look like you don't feel like it's demeaning to you to actually have to stand on this stage. Even those basics of how you act in a debate weren't followed by the president. That I truly find amazing for someone who's been such the razzle-dazzle man. It's the stagecraft. It is the mastery of the stage. It is that confident strut. That was all gone last night.
Well, the Obama campaign has said pretty directly that the president personally dislikes Mitt Romney, that he doesn't respect him as a man, as a political leader, that he just flat out doesn't like him. And whenever you have pure contempt for your opponent, it's hard to keep that. It's hard to keep that to yourself, right? You telegraph it. And I think I watched Obama last night and I thought, this guy thinks he's above this forum. He doesn't think he should be here. Why would Jesus descend to this level? I mean, I think that's what Obama's thinking about.
The audacity of arrogance. Well,
exactly.
And Tucker, I was thinking about what you were saying about playing it safe, and isn't that an interesting insight? Because for the weeks and indeed months leading up to this, I and many of us have been saying that Mitt Romney was playing it too safe, that much of the summer was spent fundraising and not setting the narrative, that he hadn't been specific enough, solutions-oriented enough, hadn't really convinced the American people that this 8.1% unemployment is really about 11.7%. Got to know what's happening on Jan 1. You got to know what's going to happen in this country. We've been saying that. Playing it safe is not the way to go. Fred Barnes just wrote a piece about that in the Wall Street Journal. And then, lo and behold, this debate came, and it was Obama who decided to play it safe. And then Obama found himself back on his heels. That's just an interesting side point, I guess, but I noticed it.
But Romney I think you're absolutely right, but Romney got the timing right. I mean, if there was ever a time to break from the pack, to scurry ahead, it's exactly right now. I mean, we've got maybe 2.5 more weeks until pretty much it's over. I mean, barring some unforeseen event, which, by the way, is entirely possible, but barring that, the vast majority of voters, overwhelming majority of voters, will have made up their minds by the end of these debates, and it's just kind of it at that point. And so if you're gonna surge, Romney has picked exactly the right time. I got to think that Obama, as people do, will overcompensate in the next debate and come out and rush Romney and take a swing at him, or try and make up for his passive performance.
It's not going to work. I don't think it's going to work. I think it's going to look obvious, and I think Romney is he's like the pro athlete. When he's done the training, he's prepared. He didn't go on that road show for investments in Bain and win some of the biggest pension funds in the United States support and confidence because he doesn't go into something prepared. He's prepared. I mean, that's just what I looked at him. I thought, okay, this is the guy who ran Bain finally. Tucker Carlson on the Laura Ingraham Show. Tucker, it's great to talk to you, and thanks for all that insight about not only the tape but what happened last night. We really appreciate it. We love Daily Caller, doing a great job.
Thanks, Laura.
All right, we're going to take a break on the Laura Ingraham Show. We'll get your fast track response. Obama and Romney together on stage. Even Big Bird was vulnerable. Don't go away.